Hello ladies and gentlemen, let's get right down to it. So I'm going to do a playthrough of Oxygen Not Included until I die horribly or I get bored. It should be fun for everyone. I'm really enjoying this game. So I made a couple previous videos just taking a look at the game. So if you're wondering about my thoughts on early access and stuff like that, you can look at the previous two videos. But this will be an actual Let's Play, I guess. So you can see here, I've got a previous game, saved. But we're going to start a new one. Boop. So here it is generating the world. I always like these little sort of loading screen quips that are in most of the Klei games that I've seen. Most notably Don't Starve. They don't actually reflect what's actually... There's like a progress meter, right? They don't actually reflect what the game is doing. Okay. Crew. I need 3 crew. At this point, it's useful that you can shuffle them to randomly generate another one. In-game, of course, you don't get to choose. Like you get a choice of 3, but you don't get to shuffle them. However, you can choose not to take any, which I find is an increasingly useful strategy. I'll get to that when it happens. So wow, look at Fran here. Fran has bonuses everywhere, and she's good at moving in water, and narcolepsy is not too bad negative trait, actually. Let's see. It's nice that the decor expectation is lower. The lower, the better. I feel that it's low enough that her stress response won't be active too often. Actually, everyone here has the same stress response. This is actually a pretty good one. I consider keeping this one. Stinky gastrophobia means he can't cook. That's generally not a problem because only 1 or 2 duplicants in a colony need to be able to cook. He's very high tinkering, so he operates machines very quickly, and he's pretty healthy. Okay, not too bad. Harold, Iron Gut, Scaredy Cat, again, not being able to fight is fine. You don't fight very, very rarely, and there are probably plenty of other duplicates. But he's not very skilled, but he's very strong. However, both of these guys have quite high decor expectations, and their stress response is particularly annoying when the decor is not up to their standards. Let's see if we can re-roll someone better for Harold. Let's see, Flatulent. That will tend to disrupt the duplicants around him because he farts. He has very low decor expectations, which is great. Vomiting is actually pretty good as far as duplicant stress responses go, because vomit and let's say duplicant byproducts, stress byproducts, can actually be recycled into your water system. Not too bad. Let's see. I think I'm going to re-roll Stinky. I mean, it's nice that he's got a high tinkering, but his decor expectation, the deal breaker for me is the decor expectation. Alright, let's see. Hideki, Night Owl, Gastrophobia. Again, same issue with the decor expectation. Let's take a look at this. Shannon. Not bad, not bad. Bonus to skills in the morning and can't fight. That is fine. Okay. Let's pick a name for our colony. The Galactic Pit. That seems appropriate. And away we go. Right, before I do anything, yep, we've awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Obviously my duplicants have no idea how they got there, because I just printed them. I'm going to take a look at my immediate surroundings. I'm a little concerned there's no water in the immediate vicinity. Okay, there's a little bit here. There's actually a significant amount down here, but I'm going to have to drill quite a ways. And water will become important because I need it primarily to... Everything consumes water, right? Your research computers consume water, your food processes consume water. On the other hand, I am surrounded by plants, which is plant life, which is great. Alright, this will be fine. We'll just keep this in mind. But I think first priority will be maybe getting to that water. Right. think I'm familiar enough with the controls not to need these tutorials. Let's do a little drilling, and of course, once we have the materials, I'm going to just want to set up a storage unit. Here will be fine for now. So, oxylite. I tend to not to drill it because it just kind of gradually releases oxygen over time, but in doing so, it will eventually sort of deplete itself. You can hold everything for now. This is the element filter, by the way. You can sort it into the various elements, so you can have them accept or not accept. You can have it filter contents, basically. All right, let's see. Let's get into here. So plants. Now you can uproot. Okay, so mealwood produces fruit every few cycles. Buried muckroot produces fruit only once. You pull it up and you eat it, and then it's gone. However, the more useful thing to do with all of these, all plants, including inedible ones, is to dig them up and store them. And the reason for that is you can plant them, and when you do that, and you set up your colony for cultivating plants, you can actually regularly get yields of food from your mealwoods. Theoretically, also the buried muckroots, they will actually repeatedly produce food for you. However, buried muckroot needs very low temperatures, like lower even than, like, okay, so it's about 19 degrees right now. Once I have machines and duplicates running around and stuff, the ambient temperature is going to keep going higher and higher, and in my experience, it's very difficult to keep the ambient temperature low enough to grow buried muckroot successfully. Even if you pick, you know, an out-of-the-way little pocket, heat just gets everywhere. So I don't mind so much. I might actually just eat the buried muckroot, but I am certainly going to dig up the mealwood. And actually, I'm going to dig it all up. Why not? And of course, the third type of plant here is the bristlebriar. It's not edible. However, it's the one type of plant you can plant in decorative planters, which will raise the decor because people like seeing potted plants. It'll raise the decor, and that's nice. It's a nice way to keep your duplicants happy. So I'm going to use the dig area select. Here we go. So I am going to also dig down into here. Suppose I may as well just build a ladder. So this is what a bristle blossom looks like when it has fruited. Oh no, this is a completely different plant. Yes. It is almost ready for harvest. I may as well just let this one fruit. It's at 94% growth. I'll harvest it and then I will dig it up for cultivation later. On the other hand, I can dig these up, and this, and this, and this. Area select. The dupes would eventually have picked up these muckroot fruits anyway. I'm just going to hurry things along by specifically designating them for sweeping. Sweeping picks up any loose bric-a-brac that's on the ground. Yep. Actually, let's run this a little bit faster. Suppose the next thing I'm going to want to do is to dig up a whole bunch of algae. Actually, I can dig these up. Now, digging up the algae underneath a plant uproots it, so I'm going to be careful not to dig up the algae from plants I'm going to allow to grow. Actually, if I dig this up, I won't be able to reach... There we go. And of course I'm going to need algae. Why? Oh, here we go. Alright, the reason... So I've built a ladder here. Oh, something else for me to dig up. The reason my duplicants are not running in here and doing this digging job is because it's inaccessible. Duplicants are 2 squares high. So obviously this little gap here is not tall enough to allow them through. It's blocked by this hunk of oxylite, which I do not intend to dig up. I want to let it deplete on its own because get more oxygen out of it that way. So, how do we check this? Well, if you click on a duplicate and then click on the show navigation, this little white line shows where he can walk to. So, to make sure he can get through there, I'm going to widen the entrance there. Let's make this tile here. So why am I tiling things? Why don't I just use the rocky cavern floors? Well, let's take a look at the tile details. So tile has a positive decor value. As well, it has these attributes: specific heat capacity and thermal conductivity. Compared to the rock floor, it has no decor value, and it has a slightly different heat profile. But basically, for now, I'm just using tile for its decor properties. It is slightly better insulating. No, it's actually exactly as... Okay. Forget what I just said. Tile insulates exactly as well as rock. But it'll keep my dupes happier if they have a little bit... It's nicer walking on a nice polished floor for now. Let's see. For the same reason, they won't actually be able to dig up this muck root because of this gap here. Well, we'll just leave that alone. One of these 2 chunks of oxalite. Whatever. We can... There we go. I was going to let it be, but it'll be fine. Oh, see, here we go. Some plants are very delicate, and now that so my dupes are human body temperature, right? So as they walk around, they heat the air around them, and then the rate at which heat propagates is determined by the thermal conductivity of their surroundings, as well as airflow. Heat can be carried by gases as they naturally move around on their own. So even just a tiny little bit of added ambient heat, just from having my dupes run around in here, is making things very difficult for this bristle blossom. It needs very low temperatures to produce fruit, and it's just on the edge of being too warm to grow any further. Tell you what I'm going to do, just as a reminder of myself. Just going to wall this off for now, just as a visual reminder to myself. Don't come down here, let this grow. So it's nighttime, and my dupes have gone to sleep. Alright, anyway, that's enough of that. Let's get to building. Of course, the game is telling me I need toilets in here somewhere. Good suggestion. Okay, another thing to consider. The duplicate beams, their construction beams, only reach a finite distance. That is to say, if you build a floor, then you want to build a ceiling. The ceiling can't... You have to bear in mind that the ceiling can't be too high, that it can't be reached with the building beams, or they will not be able to build it. Which makes it all complicated. You have to build ladders and scaffolding and stuff. So, my rule of thumb is, dupes are 2 squares high, and then if you allow a 3rd square for just some ceiling space, you can build a ceiling. A good height for the ceiling is the 4th tile above the floor, or 4th square above the floor, which is the longest distance that the construction beam can reach. So, the ceiling level will be here. Now the arrival gate is kind of tall. Most units in the game are only 2 units. Some are 3, but none are 4. So only the gate here won't fit in a standard room of height 3, and then ceiling. Oh, now of course, Fran cannot. Duplicates can climb tiles, or they can normally climb tiles. There we go. So, duplicates can climb up to a height of 2. So they can easily get over heights of 1. So what's going on here? Fran can't get out of here because I built this wall, and apparently she doesn't have the materials on hand to build this ladder. Now my other two duplicates are busy building the ceiling I just assigned. How do I change what they do? Well, I go into the priority menu, where we can see, here we go, a priority menu, where we can see the priority that has been assigned to all pending tasks. 5 is a default value. You can assign higher or lower numeric priorities to pending tasks. For instance, here we go. If I assign building this, and then I area select, these are all now priority 9. They will prioritize this over every other task. Here we go. Another handy thing to remember, you can move, you can navigate the screen, you zoom in and out with the mouse wheel. You can navigate up, left, right, down with the usual WASD. And why did I didn't think that through, did I? Obviously no colonist is going to be able to climb this exterior wall. I'll just build this elaborate, there we go. Okay, this is for dupes coming in through this way, obviously. What? You could have climbed this the whole time? Okay, all is not yet lost, obviously. Yes, I am a master at this game, I can say. Everything I do is carefully planned. So that's how Fran's going to... No! Why are you moving in and out of here? I don't want you to heat up the air around this plant. Okay. That's fine. So, I've walled it off for now. I need to build a toilet. So, I believe the Oxygen Not Included community is in oh dear. 2 mines about cleanliness. Oh, everyone needed to go to the toilet at this. That's going to happen. I think I'd like to keep it contained to a small area here. The Oxygen Not Included community is of 2 minds about things like urine and vomit. On the one hand, they're gross, and... Oh, by the way, I should mention, poop and pee do in fact foul your environment, so it behooves you to clean them up as soon as possible. Here we go. That's there's a handy mop tool right there. These also mop this up. So, 2 minds. First of all, it's gross to have all that stuff around, and I'd better build a toilet soon. However, all of those byproducts can be recycled into your environment, which, as I mentioned earlier, which is often vital to keeping your colony running when things like water and slime and sand have run out. So that's one thing to consider, but some people consider that cheating. Or, you know, you should be able to run a colony without having to resort to that sort of thing. I don't dispute that, but I say when it comes down to survival, you do it. You have to. But I'm not going to build specifically in a manner such so as to encourage that sort of thing. Some people freely let their colonies fill up with toxic gas and contaminated water, and then use the resulting diarrhea and other effluents as a water input. Maybe my colony will come to that, but I'm not going to deliberately build with that in mind. Okay, time to build that toilet. Here, the plumbing, outhouse, outhouse. There we go. So, why have I built the outhouse this way, with a little 1 square tile in front of it? Well, outhouses, as they fill up with contaminated dirt, they produce toxic gases. However, toxic gases are typically heavier than air, and what that means is they sink. So a gas that sinks to the bottom of this little depression here will hopefully not spill out of the range of the outhouse, hopefully keeping the environment air less toxic, basically trapping the gases in here. By the way, let's check the temperature graph. Okay, nice and cool because I haven't had any of my warm duplicates running around here. Almost ready to harvest. And when it is, I will harvest it and then I'll tear down this wall and I'll dig up the plant. Alright. Now, the game is warning me that I'm generating insufficient oxygen, which is true. I'm not generating any oxygen right now. All my oxygen comes from air that was already present. I should probably not, upon consideration, blocked off this oxalite. I'm not generating any oxygen. Any air that I started with was already in place, and I'm just, breathing it in. I'm expending it just by having my duplicates alive. However, the air quality is still good, so I don't feel the need to build any of my oxygen facilities yet. In this case, the algae deoxidizer. What do I need to build next? Well, probably food sources. Let's see. Food. Okay. So we've already got a ration box. We do need a microbe musher and then also a source of water. To make mush loaf requires dirt, which we have in great abundance, but also water. So I want to build it in close proximity to water so the dupe who is making food. Let's put it down here. We'll also have ready access to water. And so, i.e. they won't have to run too far, and so their travel distance is reduced. And in the meantime, let's do some tile work. Oh dear, Harold's flatulence is affecting his colonists. Occasionally you'll see Shannon grip her head and that smelly nose icon pops up above her face, above her head as a thought bubble. I think it's actually affecting her quality of life. It may be increasing her stress. Stress management is another important factor of this game. Right now it's not too bad, but as the game progresses and colonists have to face increasingly adverse conditions, Harold, their stress will increase. So here, if we click on the brain icon here, or we mouse over it, you can see how much stress every single one of your colonists has. As they get increasingly stressed, they have to be quite stressed, 50% or above. And when they are that stressed, they will they will do their stress response action, which we can see here in Harold's traits. There we go. So here down the very bottom, the first three, of course, are his negative traits, and the fourth one is his stress response. When Harold becomes too stressed, he vomits, whereas some of the others are destructive and will actively break your machines, so on and so forth. Right, it's nighttime. I'm not sure how we can tell it's nighttime inside a lightless asteroid, but there we go. How will anyone get down to... I guess I'll need a ladder. In that case, might as well make this a nice tile. I still need water. I mean, there's contaminated water over here, which is... Of course, the micro musher also requires power. That's another thing we'll get to in a second. Oh, this whole cavern is made of copper. I'm going to have a whole lot of raw metal ore, which is very useful when it comes time to build wires and things. Let's see, I still need to... Okay, for now, this water will be fine. So I'll continue this ladder. I would like all of this water in one convenient pool. So what I'll do is, once my duplicates get down here, I'll have them demolish this bit of rock, which ideally will cause the water above to pool into a smaller cavity here. Looks like it's lunch break for everyone. An interesting thing about the outhouse is that it has a finite number of visits. Once it runs out of visits, it's too dirty to use, and another duplicate has to run over with a plunger and clean it. Cleaning it involves extracting contaminated dirt out of it and filling it with dirt, regular dirt, just like a real outhouse, like that you'd find in a wood, like in a forest somewhere. It's gross but accurate, and of course the contaminated dirt is vital in the production of fertilizer. I'm thinking picking the flatulent colonist has actually become more of a problem than I anticipated. So, contaminated dirt creates toxic gas around it, which is why I put the outhouse in a bit of a depression. But the dirt the contaminated dirt that you extract from it, wherever you put it, even if you put it inside one of these storage compactors, it still emits toxic gas. And for that reason, I'm actually going to put a dedicated storage compactor right next to the outhouse and filter it so that it only holds contaminated dirt. And for the same reasons, I'm going to put it, I'm going to build the station in such a way that the heavier than air gases do not escape, they don't spread. Ideally, they're just stuck in that depression. So, contaminated dirt under organic, nope. Algae fertile, okay, it will be there. So another thing about the storage compactor filters is that they'll only show you materials that you have in your possession. So contaminated dirt will be in the organic category, but only after I have some. So for now, why don't I show you? After Shannon is finished taking a dump. Yep, we just watched someone take a dump. All right. Oh, does Harold also need? Okay, we'll get to that later. Looks like it was burrito night. So the next thing we need, let's get some power set up for the micro musher. So initially, before we research anything on the tech tree, our only option for power is the hamster wheel. Let's put it over here. Let's drill this out a little bit more. Energy storage options are limited to the tiny battery. I'm leaving a gap here for a second micro musher. I like to have them together. It doesn't really matter where they are. I also like to put two small batteries beside the hamster wheel here. The reason I do this is because there's an upgrade. Once you research more power stations, you get the large battery, or regular size battery, which is the size of two tiny batteries. So once I research that, I'll demolish these two tiny batteries and build a regular battery. The thing about the regular battery is that its capacity is actually approximately double that of two tiny batteries. So it's a more efficient use of space. Alright, let's build some tile down here. And build some wire. So, this is the wiring schematic for the colony. Obviously, power is going to come out of the hamster wheel. And then I'm going to run a circuit over here to run a wire to the micro musher, and also to both batteries. As you research power technologies, you'll be able to research switches to turn on and off parts of your circuit, wire bridges so the wires can cross over each other without merging. Yeah. So soon we will have power. Okay, another advantage of tiles is that you can run pipes and wires through them. Now, of course, I could just have run those wires through the air, but the thing about wires, if we click on, there we go. So if you click on a wire, you'll see that it has a negative decor value, which is to say, and this is also true of all kinds of pipes. When they're visible, they decrease the ambient decor value, which of course annoys your duplicates. So it's nice that you can hide them in the tiles and the walls, and they won't reduce the decor of your colony, and your duplicants won't be made unhappy by your vital infrastructure. Of course, like everything else, they have a specific heat capacity and thermal conductivity. They have actually a much higher thermal conductivity than bare rock or tiles. So again, for insulation purposes, put them in a tile. What's going on here? Okay. So the way gases work, carbon dioxide is heavier than oxygen. So I've got a lower area here, and what's happening is that my duplicants are... I'm asking them to work in this area, but unfortunately carbon dioxide is pooled here, and it's very difficult to breathe. If I just mouse over the air squares, you'll see what the predominant gas is and the state of its... how good it is for them to breathe. And we've got the color chart on the top right there. As you can see, it's barely breathable. So what I need to do is vent this carbon dioxide, find somewhere even lower for it to sink to. I mean, duplicants can hold their breath, and they're smart enough that they'll come up for air every now and then. They won't asphyxiate themselves, which is nice. There's a lower pocket here, so I'm going to just drill here, and the carbon dioxide should sink into this new chamber and leave this chamber ventilated. There we go. Get onto that on their own time. Oh, and here we have a new duplicate. So, every 10 minutes or so, you'll have the opportunity to take a new duplicate. So all the same rules about duplicate selection apply, except that you cannot reshuffle them, which is, that's fine. However, don't feel the obligation to accept a duplicate every time a new one is available. Your colony, unless you really need the extra manpower, your duplicants will complete tasks and take on new ones all by themselves. So unless you need the larger simultaneous workforce, you can just see this button here, reject all. You actually don't have to take any. I'm going to take one, I think, because early in the game I need to get things going. Ralph is pretty good. Diver's Lungs is actually very good. He doesn't consume as much air. And again, I don't mind so much that he can't perform combat. Tilly has good attributes. Yokel is not too bad as far as negative attributes go. Again, at most you'll have a couple of duplicants of your entire population doing research. Scaredy Cat for Moon. She doesn't have a lot in the way of attributes, but she's super good at digging. I think I'm going to take Tilly. Right, okay, so we've got our colony started. I think that's where I'll leave this episode for now, lest I run on a little too long. So I'll continue this series every now and then. Hopefully you'll enjoy watching me build a colony and torture my duplicants. We'll see if this very distant water becomes an issue. So the game is Oxygen Not Included, currently in development by Klei Entertainment. They say it's a pre-alpha early access, so it is purchasable on Steam. And they're also accepting feedback and tuning the game, and it's not nearly done, and I'm sure there are all sorts of features to be added. But I'm looking forward. I'm already enjoying it quite a lot in its current state, and I'm looking forward to it seeing further development. So, thanks for tuning in. My name is Alfred. I will see you next time.